Hey, everybody, it's Honesty, and this is the Right Honesty Podcast. Attorney General, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great too. I'm tired, but I'm great. It's a good tired, so I'll take it.
Well, good tired is because there is a difference. Goodness knows there is a
There is a
difference.
difference. Bad tired is I hate everybody. I'm through with the
Yes.
world, but I
Yes.
don't feel that way.
That's one of those nuances that come with adulting,
For
isn't it?
sure.
That whole difference between good and bad tired.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So okay, we are going to talk about Lemon Pepper this time by
Lemon
Nina
pepper.
Lemon Pepper, which is very popular. Hold on, let me get on the internet and see.
I
But
think it's well over 1,000
yeah,
reviews.
which is great.
It might be approaching, I don't want to misspeak, but I feel like it might have been approaching 1,500, maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so. Hold on, let's see. Hurry up, Amazon. Amazon is never in order when you need it to be. Literally ever. Okay, we have 1,400 reviews,
okay.
1,453 right now.
Okay.
Mostly 5 star, which is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this was your pick. Nina was not at Behind the Pen, so we featured a bunch of authors who were going to be at Behind the Pen, and we actually did an episode on that. So if you have not listened to that one, listen to our Behind the Pen recap. But you brought this one to me, and read it, read it, read it. Tell me what you think. So, what made Lemon Pepper so special for you, and then we can kind of get into how we're going to tackle it.
Oh, so let me give a little context because this is not Nina's first book. Nina's first series, it centers around the Porter brothers. It's Front Street Porters, On Us, books 1 through 3, and Clearwater. And Nina has a diehard, almost rabid fan base.
Okay.
And so I had been seeing people, chatter in the different book groups on Facebook about Nina, about the Porters, on and on and on. And so I initially tried reading On Us, and it just didn't grab me at the time. And I was like, I don't, it's just, this is not, I don't get it.
Okay.
And what was interesting is that there were several of our sister readers with whom we, I think, have a lot in common in terms of reading preference and style and things that they recommend, who, again, continue to rave about that series. And I was like, interesting. It just didn't call to me. And I'm like, it happens. It is what it is. Fast forward to earlier this summer, and people start chattering about the fact that Lemon Pepper is coming. And I was like, okay, well, this is a standalone. So it will give me a taste of Nina. And it's a different set of characters. And it is not a commitment a la The Porters, which is a 5 book series when all is said and done.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, went in, read it, and it just grabbed me, and would not let go for days, dare I say, a couple of weeks after reading it.
Hmm.
It really, really stayed with me, um, in the best of ways, in the best of ways.
Okay.
Um, and then I went back and I was like, okay, Nina, you gave me this masterpiece. Let me now go back because maybe I just wasn't in the right frame of mind. And then I went back to the Porters and I
Hmm.
read and I understand why people love them.
Hmm.
Um, I was glad to see them because it's 5 brothers, super duper toxic and dysfunctional situation. By the end, these brothers are in a much, much better place than they were when we meet them. And in that respect, I was like, I get it. I understand why people were like, yes, Porters, go, go, go. It is not something, though, that I think I will go back and read because the journey is a lot.
Okay.
Um, but I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. I understand it. Lemon Pepper, however, I then went back to it 2 more times while waiting for you to read it.
Mhm.
And it just it has a piece of my literary heart. It really, really does. So I felt like I was like, I'm going to hound her until she reads this book, because I need her to read it and experience it with me. But there's just so much that I love about this story and these characters. And look, having had my own journey of grief and loss with my parents, there were things about the story that I think resonated very hard because of that.
Mm.
But it's just for me, it's just a very sweet story, and it challenges a number of different things. So I just felt like it had a lot of good, meaty stuff. For you and I to talk about, regardless of where we end up on things. I felt like it had very meaty things in there that would make a discussion about this book an enjoyable one. So that's why I kept hounding you to read it.
I am glad you did. So it took me a while to get in here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I was like I feel like I was like Benz in the car, and when she first go to Pepper and they check her car and they won't let her in. Like I was like held at the gate. I couldn't
Yeah.
get in
Mm-hmm.
for a while. But once I got in, I was in. It is a very sweet story, but also so sad. And I think that
Yes.
might have been why it was hard for me to get in, because from the beginning with Travis, I was like, why was she
Yes.
like,
Yes. Shame, Nina,
I was like,
shame.
why would she do that to me? He was so
He
happy.
was so
Like his
happy.
new baby and
Oh
his,
my
and
God.
say, is it Sayori? Because they
Yeah,
call her Say. So I think
yeah,
it's
it's a
Say
great question.
something.
I do, child, I don't know, and I'm not trusting Alexa's pronunciation either.
Right.
So
Okay. I'm gonna just say. I mean, Travis, he was so happy, and it was like a moment, and he was celebrating, and for her to just rip him away from me, I
ripped
was
him
like,
away.
oh, she's a terrible Why are there so many
Terrible,
terrible people in
terrible,
Black romance?
terrible.
There are some real ass villains, like some of these
Whew.
authors. But anyway, so that was a real moment for me. I don't know why it was a moment, but that was a moment. I was just like, oh God. It put me in the mind of Mills and
Yes, Lady Nisha,
Lady
stay
Nisha, who's
scheming.
also a terrible person. And I just
We don't
love
forgive
Mills.
her.
And I was like, what is happening?
We don't forgive her.
Okay, so there was that. Um, and then it was a while before my people here get together.
Yes,
And so
yes,
I had to
definitely a
walk,
slow burn.
yeah, I had to walk
Mhm.
the slow walk with that. And there were people who were so irritating to me along the way that I had to force myself to keep walking. Shamara, is that her name? Yeah,
Yes,
is
yes,
one of them. You know, Arlene was doing a lot.
yes.
Addie eventually does the most. So, there were some people along the way. Even I was sad to see Say, and just kind of how sad she was, and how much the loss of Travis really impacted everybody, because that baby
Yes,
had her head hung down.
yes,
And then the
yes.
secret that came out, and I said,
Girl,
oh no.
girl, no. It was.
So
I was like,
anyway,
mm.
let's do the summary. Let's get into it. You want to summarize? You want me to summarize?
Sure. So the lemon pepper and the tagline is where love and grief meet,
Mm-hmm.
and perfectly summarizes, I think, this story, because we meet Denari, known as Dawn, and Benzari, known as Benz. Dawn is a guy, Benz is a woman. And when we meet them, well, we'll skip the prologue. When we fast forward and we meet Dawn and Benz, they are both a year past their brother and sister, respectively, being killed.
Mm-hmm.
They were killed on the same day. And we later learned that they were killed in the same accident because of the same treacherous ass motherfuckers. Treacherous.
Ooh, child.
Get my blood pressure back down. And among the interesting parallels of Dawn and Ben's is that they are young. Dawn is 21, Ben's is 23. They both step up and become the adults in their families. Even though it was their older siblings that were killed, they're younger and they become the adults in their families. They become guardians of their nephew and niece, respectively, stepping in as surrogate mother and father, even though there are other adults in the picture, including other biological parents of these children. And they, are functioning through their grief. And it is through Dawn's younger brother, Oak, who is just the sweetest
He's
thing
very sweet.
ever
I have a
created.
challenging question for you regarding Oak.
Yes. Okay. But through, because Ben's has a business and she ultimately ends up hiring Oak to assist her in her business. And Oak has some mental disabilities, but he is high functioning. He's not autistic, but there was some delays, developmental delays due to lack of oxygen in the womb. But brilliant artist, very detail oriented. And she hires Oak and then starts finding out that like there are other connections to this family, to Dawn and Oak's family, that their mothers were best friends when they were teenagers. Ben's finds out that Dawn's mother is actually the person who named her. And it's a very slow burn. It's a very slow burn between Ben's and Dawn in terms of these two people who are functioning through their grief. And the last thing either one of them is thinking about is falling in love with anybody. They're just trying to keep their head above water, running businesses, raising children, being the leaders in their family, and just wading through this suffocating, all-encompassing grief over losing their siblings. And this very beautiful love story develops out of these two people, and we learn more about the family ties. We learn more about the communities that they come from, in particular Pepper, which is a former public housing development that was then redeveloped into private homes. And it still has the brand of being a very dangerous hood ghetto place to live. And yet you find out that Pepper is probably the kind of community that all of us would love to raise children in, because it is safe and it truly is a community in that neighbors are taking care of neighbors and all of the children are safe wherever they are. So some of the twists and turns in terms of the family ties, break them apart for a certain period of time, but then we see them come back together with a very sweet plot twist. And the families begin healing as best possible, but you are left with knowing that these two are going to be okay, and that they are in a better place than where they were when we met them. I think that's where I would leave it.
Yeah, I think that's good. They are in a better place than when we met them. One of the last scenes is my favorite scene because they go through their breakup, and she's at his mom's house, and it becomes clear that everybody's house has a room for Dawn, baby Dawn, the little girl.
Yes,
from the cryptic pregnancy.
Yes.
And she's trying to tell him, and the baby was early too. She's trying to tell him the baby gonna live with her, and he's like, "Oh no, that is not the nature of this here."
Yeah.
And it was just like kind of a cute little scene of them starting to come back together, but all along that they're going to be together.
Yes.
They are in love and they bond, like you were saying, over loss, not even knowing how close how close they really are as it relates to that loss.
And what broke them up was some like legitimate, some people might not be able to get past that, right? Correct. And it was through no fault of either of them.
Yeah.
But it was the circumstances. And so when she needed to take her time, I understood. as he did. And then when the positions were reversed and they found out what actually happened, and he said, I need to take my time,
Mhm.
I understood where he was coming from too.
Right.
Um, and it was just very sad, right? Because it was like neither one of them was to blame.
Mhm.
But you know, there's lots of folks that end up being collateral damage for the decision from the decisions of others. You know, that's unfortunately how life goes sometimes. Um, so I just love this story. And you know, one of the things that I would start with was because I you know kind of said the functioning grief, which is something that resonated with me because I was definitely someone who worked as a coping mechanism for my
Mm,
grief when my parents passed away.
mhm.
Um, and it was interesting to see grief presented in a number of different ways here, right? So we had the functioning grief in the form of Dawn and Ben's. We had non-functioning grief in the form of Say Say. We had destructive grief in the form
Mhm.
of Truck. We
Mhm.
had cowardly grief in the form of Arlene. And we had
Yeah.
vengeful grief coming from Dawn's father. Because candidly, that was all he had, right? Dawn's
Right.
father is in jail for drug trafficking. Their mother is still home. And we know that their mother is still grieving, but their mother also has her three remaining living children. And she has her grandson. And so she
Mhm.
had other things to pour that energy and that grief into, whereas the father didn't, right? And you know, the father becomes he's a very minor character, but his couple of conversations with Dawn, he is always asking about them honing in on the guy that
Yep.
caused their brother's death, and making sure that justice is meted out, right?
Mhm.
And while Sonari, who is Dawn's mother,
Mhm.
while she wanted justice as well, it was clear that Sunny was, you know, she was focusing on babying Oak, who is 19, turning 20 when we meet him,
Mhm.
and, you know, fussing behind her grandson. And so she had other things to take her attention, whereas the father did not. So though I was just like, huh, the grief just presenting itself differently. And Ben's in particular having to figure out how to grieve more productively for her niece because she realizes that she's by virtue of her holding it all in, right, and not crying, that her niece is taking that as her example of how she's supposed to handle grief. um, and I loved that therapy figured prominently in this story, and that is something I give Nina credit, because even with the Porters, by the end everybody's in therapy, all
Okay.
five brothers in therapy, all the wives in therapy. Right, so Nina is big on, you know, making it clear that therapy is for everyone, and that actually is where Dawn and Ben's connect, right? Ben's sharing um, an insightful moment with him about the grief and the love and the emotions, and navigating those emotions, and that is the spark that sends them into, you know, on this pathway of being together, because prior to that point they recognized that each other were attractive, but there was no flirting. There was no,
Right.
like, they weren't interacting in a way where you're like, yep, right. I mean, you know, it's going to happen because you're like, okay, the way this story is naturally going to go. But it wasn't the typical, I flirt with you, you flirt with me, we give each other looks, and then we go about our bit. And then, you know, then it escalates to the next level. It was literally a conversation about navigating grief and processing a year later,
Mhm.
still being in that space. Um, and I think the way Nina wrote it was that, you know, Benz's words penetrated Dawn's core, which I thought was a great visual, because up to that point, he was just kind of like, you know, in this excruciating pain, mental, emotional, and physical, right? Because he gets shot and he still has a bullet in his chest. But he was
Yeah.
keeping it to himself. He was
Mhm.
keeping it to himself because he was functioning through his grief. And she was doing the same thing, but she had at least gotten into therapy to have a place to openly process how she was feeling, because she couldn't do that with her mother and she couldn't do that with her grandmother. So I thought that was I liked the way that played out in terms of bringing them together, because it was not this superficial, not that there would have been anything wrong with it, but there wasn't this like superficial, they were just hot in the pants and had too much to drink and body parts ended up connecting, right?
Right.
It was a very vulnerable moment for these two people that understood exactly how the other one felt, and connected over that, and went from there.
Yeah. Their coming together was sweet to see, but I I think I was just still grieving.
Mm, mm,
It didn't get sweet to me until the almost not sweet in terms of, yes, it was sweet on the page, but I was not attached to them being together until the first little breakup.
okay.
Um, Mainly because I wanted, they just missed Travis so
Yes. Yeah.
much. And
Yeah.
I was just like, oh God, how can
Yeah.
anybody be happy? Like,
Yeah.
and so it took me a while, like it took them a while, um, to, come around to the idea of anybody being happy or being able to move on, which was Dawn's problem. Not just that, but which was Dawn's problem between Say and Truck. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, Say and
Truck.
Truck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because for him, he was like, you can't do this.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I understand y'all both hurting. We all hurting. It's only been a year. A year is nothing when you lose
Nothing.
somebody that means everything to you. It might as
Nothing.
well be a second.
Yep.
So he, especially because the first year is so hard because it's the first of everything. And
Yes.
it takes so long for your brain to understand that there is no reverse.
Yes.
And so, so he was just like, y'all cannot, I swear to God, y'all cannot do this. Like, I
No,
can't.
he's like, of all the ways y'all
Yes.
gonna grieve, this ain't gonna be it.
Yes. Which I
Like,
understood. I
as
got
did
it,
I. Yes.
because what are we supposed to do here?
You know,
No,
I think we were all Dawn. Like, what he's supposed to be, brother, cousin? And I was like, yes,
right.
this is some Jerry Springer, may he rest in peace shit.
And I
Like,
and I know it happens, and I know it can be
yes.
right. I mean, there are plenty of romance novels about the love of your life passing away and you falling in with the sister or the brother or the best friend. Like, that's all over the place.
Yeah.
And the forbidden nature of it, and you decide how dark you want to go as an author, but in this family, in this situation, it just wouldn't have worked.
No, no, no.
So y'all got
Yeah.
to see this.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and so, that was their struggle and their process. And so to your point about like them falling in love, it took me a while to even want that, because every time somebody heart got to be aching about Travis, mine was aching too.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time somebody heart got to be aching about Arlie, mine was aching too. And
Yeah.
I think, that was by design. It
Yeah.
was supposed to be it's where love and grief meet. That was what it was supposed to be. And you're asking yourself these kinds of questions around, like, is now the right time? Is it too soon? Can I even handle this? Which is why they're coming together, was such an accident.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it was a natural, it was organic, right? It was
yeah,
organic because,
yeah.
like I said, neither one of them were waiting. We're looking for that. And another parallel, because there were so many parallels between Dawn and Ben's, right?
Mm-hmm.
That neither one of them, both of them had been in longer term relationships when this happens. Ben's had been with her boyfriend, Leo. Dawn had been with his girlfriend of 2-3 years,
Mm-hmm.
Candace,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this happens, and the breakups, the circumstances surrounding the breakups were different. For Ben, she just told her boyfriends, I can't do this. I just can't. Whereas Dawn cheated on Candace and then confessed to her, and she ended things. And, he begged and pleaded, but she wouldn't take him back. And at a certain point, he respected that. He took accountability for it, and he, let it go. But there's a recognition on both of their parts at different points in time that, number one, they're different people now,
Mm-hmm.
which can be hard to, it's like, as obvious as that sounds, that was a journey for me of just realizing that there was before and after, and I
Yeah.
was a different person.
Yeah.
I understand why some relationships don't survive the death of someone super close, be it a parent, a sibling, a best friend. I understand.
Mhm.
And also recognizing that, like, those people, because you're not the same, doesn't always mean that that person is no longer compatible with you. But it also, I got it when both of them realized that they weren't ever going to be able to be with Leo and Candace respectively again going forward, because there was no going back. There was no
Right.
going back. And they have those moments of realizations at different points in the book. But it comes to both of them, and ultimately it's for the same reason, because they're not the same people. They're not the same people, and what they need, and what is best for them. And it's not knocking either one of their former partners. They're not going to find it in those people anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And either, they have to just go forward. And I think Ben's has a moment where she says something like, um it's almost like a tide or something like that. There's some like analogy to like the waves, and she's like, she realized, like, her man, he didn't make the cut, he couldn't stay above the tide.
Mhm.
Her best
Mhm.
friend, however, she was able to stay above the tide. And
Yeah.
at a certain point, Ben's makes the decision that her mother might not be able to stay above the tide, and she got to be
Yeah.
okay with just cutting her mother off, or just really limiting the contact, and putting their relationship in a particular place. So that was just, that resonated very powerfully for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did. I had yeah, that's what I say. My question for you, did you want to stay with here, or I want to ask my Oak question. I'm not going to wait to the
Yeah,
end.
go ahead.
So, Oak falls in love with Lottie.
Yeah.
He feel hard in his heart.
Yeah.
Where for Dawn, for a hot second, not Dawn, for Ben's, for a hot second, he was excited in his pants. For Lottie, he excited
Yes.
in his heart. Okay.
Yes.
So here's my question, because this is something in mental health circles that goes around and around, which is about, for people that have intellectual disabilities, how do you handle their romantic feelings for other people? And so in this instance, Oak and Lottie, he's 19, but I think he's supposed to be like 14, 15.
Right.
And he's probably not ever going to be more developed mentally than a 14, 15-year-old. And Lottie think he cute, and so they fake date. They don't. It doesn't go. It doesn't become physical, but they do have that little, boyfriend girlfriend thing going on. And I'm interested in your thoughts about how far that would potentially go before somebody would be calling her a predator. Because he's
God.
fine. He looked just like his brother. He's fine.
He fine.
But in his mind, he is not the same age as her.
Yes, and Miss Sunny is not happy.
Right, right.
Miss
And
Sunny
and I
is
right,
very
and I asked
unhappy.
this question because there are lots of conversations about disabled people and autonomy, disabled people and independence. And I know I have seen on social media some parents who have, for example, like nonverbal autistic children or children with Down syndrome and other challenges, where they will sterilize them. They will prevent them from dating or having like romantic relationships. And then but you see the flip side, where you see the two little Down syndrome people together, and you don't know if the parents just made them stand by side, or if they actually like each other. But in this instance, it was very clear that he liked her and she
Yes.
liked him too. So
Yes.
as a mama, how far are you letting it go?
It's a great question. And it was like, on the one hand, while I was rooting for Honey Bunches of Oak, her different nicknames for him, just my Okie Pokey, I was like,
They were all
oh,
very
these
cute.
nicknames, they
Yes.
were all so adorable. While on the one hand, I understood where Sunny was coming from, and being suspicious, because of course, from Sunny's perspective, it's like she's articulating a lot of what you just said, right? Like, you're older than him, you're more mature. Not only are you biologically older than him, but
Mm-hmm.
you're more mature than him.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it that appeals to you about him, um beyond trying to take advantage of him?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that's appealing to you? But here's the thing, I think the way that Oak was presented, number one, we saw that Oak, I don't know that Oak was ever going to be, um, he was never going to fully catch up to Truck in terms of maturity, right? He was always going to be behind. But I would not agree that Oak was that we were basically to understand that Oak was going to hit his ceiling and stay in the teenage years. That was not my impression.
Okay.
My impression was that Oak was always going to yes, need more time and have his things and need an understanding, but that, by virtue of Oak getting this job and having this very supportive community, that Oak was being positioned to live a robust life for someone that has his limitations. And I think Lottie was positioned as someone, because in the beginning, Lottie, right? Lottie thinks she's talking to Truck. She finds out that she's talking to Oak. And that actual
Other way around.
reveal was no. She thought she was talking to Oak, but she was really talking to Truck.
Yeah, I thought you said Truck first, then the other way. Yeah.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
no,
Truck impersonating Oak. Yeah.
exactly. And then when
Jackass.
when that reveal happens and Oak tells I'm telling mom. But it was like Lottie was presented to us as a good person, right? So that even in the beginning, when Benz is pressing her and is like, well, he has certain limitations. And Lottie's like, no, I get that. She's like, but he's very sweet. And we have good conversation and I enjoy his company, right? So to me, it was less about how far this would go in terms of it being allowed to go by the adults in the situation, and more about it ultimately running its natural course, right? And Lottie getting to a certain point where maybe she wanted other things and realizes that maybe Oak is not going to be able to experience those things with her. But he was clearly very intelligent, talented artist, right? Very self-aware, right? Oak would call himself and others out on things, right? That almost like childlike innocence of just saying things that other people would never say about themselves or other people. So I thought that in that respect, we were from what we were given of Lottie, while I understood Sonny's hesitancy, I, as the reader, was like, but no, she doesn't have ill intentions towards him, right? And this is going to take its slow, sweet time. Like Lottie was clearly not rushing to get in his pants yet. So I felt like Oak knew that he had this very supportive community, not just his twin, but he had his older brother who is a good dude, right? Like Dawn is a good dude and gave great advice. And so I was hopeful for them. Not to say that I saw them getting married, but I didn't view it as like anywhere near a predator situation. Just because I was like, he's protected. Like he's in a situation where he's protected. And what we've been told of Lottie is that there's no reason to think that she is going to take advantage of that.
Yeah. I think if I was Sonny, I want to believe that I would encourage my child, but at the same time, I don't know. I think it can work. You just got to have the right set of circumstances.
Oh yeah. And I felt like Nina like put as much of that on paper as possible for the reader, right? But I agree with you 1,000%. Like it's never that. Is it ever that clear cut and neatly laid out for you in real life?
Right. Well, and the reason I say that is because there are all kind of people, like everybody who can have a child can have a child.
Yep.
For example, like my grandfather stopped going to school when he was 8, but he went on to own his own business. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, he was probably, I know his last child was born when he learned to read. And so it's stuff like that like, when we think about what a disability is and how far into the disability realm would you allow a person to experience all the fruits that come with this human life or this human experience, I don't know, because I think you can doomsday question your way into no for almost everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in this situation where they live in this contained environment, they have all of this support. If Oak have a baby, it's everybody baby.
Yep.
And if the child surpasses him cognitively, there'll be plenty of other adults around to provide support and kind of fill in that gap.
Yeah.
And so, I guess the final question is, who is the woman that wants to be with that kind of man?
Yeah. Yeah.
And does it mean that something is wrong with her? Right. So I don't know. I toyed with that question a lot as I read through.
Yeah. And listen, I liked when Benz was kind of like pressure testing Lottie on that, right? Because she was like, I don't want this to be like a joke. And Lottie said, she's like, no, he's sweet, he's considerate,
and
we have good conversation. And he was all of those things, right? He's easy on the eyes. And you also got the sense that Lottie maybe was a little fatigued from, the fuck boys, right? So it was like Oak was refreshing in the best of ways. And she's like, we're taking it slow, we're taking our time, right? But when you fast forward to when they bring, baby Dawn home or whatever, and Lottie and Oak are locked in, right? But Lottie knows not to go to Pepper. She's not going to the house because her and Miss Sunny always get into it, and
same for his birthday, I think, right?
Right.
Like, let me bring your gift to the shop.
Right.
So all those things.
Yeah. So I had a couple of preconceived notions that I thought the story did a nice job of challenging. So first, who are your enemies? And what the enemies actually look like, right? And it kind of started even with the origins of Birdie, Pepper, and I forget what the other one was because no one cared about them.
But I ain't sure.
Yeah, nobody cared. But it's like, the bad blood, which had dated Grace. The bad blood, which had dated back to Benz's grandmother's teenage years, right? That's a long time because Granny's like well into her 70s by the time we meet them. By this point in time, though, it's like Birdie and Pepper, it's whatever. Like they have no reason to interact, and it is no longer a situation where automatically seeing someone from Pepper or seeing someone from Birdie and people are pulling out guns and knives, right?
On site.
Exactly. And so I thought, Ben's kind of telling that story and saying, look, that continues to be the brand and reputation, but hey, we benefit from that, right? Because we get left alone. And people who don't belong here stay away from here.
Right.
The enemies within families, right? And that candidly, while Ellis is the person that killed Travis and was evil to Arlie, right? We finding out that connection that Arlie, who is Benz's older sister that was killed, her baby daddy, who went by Ellis, was also known to Dawn and his family as Eli, came from Birdie, but they didn't know him like that. They knew who he was, but they did not have like fresh ongoing beef with him. And so they are perplexed, right? On top of grieving, they are perplexed as to why he targeted them that particular night. And we find out that Shamara, the cousin, the enemy, in the gates, right, in the house, that Shamara, Ben's and Arlie's cousin, who was sleeping with Ellis, Eli, behind Arlie's back, stirred up some shit that night and sent pictures alleging that something was going on between Arlie and Travis, and that sent Ellis into a rage. And he was abusive anyway. He was toxic. And he shows up at the club that they're all at, and he is the cause of both the accident, ultimately because Shamara and Arlie are arguing, and Shamara never hits the brake on the car, and so they end up slamming into a light pole, I think, and Arlie is the only one that is killed. Shamara and their Arlie's friend walks away from the accident, but it was that, like, Eli doesn't do what he did without the other snake, right? Shamara, who was their cousin, who whipped him into this frenzy and then continued sleeping with him and bringing his daughter around him, even though there was like a restraining order. He wasn't supposed to have contact with his daughter. And and he was a terrible father anyway, because he was in and out and not reliable. But Shamara's boning him and gets pregnant by him and is lying to the grandmother and bringing the niece Busy around him. And, you know, it was heavily implied that Shamara would be going on to glory soon. And I was like, yep, I think that's exactly how this needs to play out. That's probably how this needs to go. Let's just clean house
She was
completely.
Worse.
She really was the worst. And we start from the very beginning. You know, she is mean and nasty to Oak. Who, once you have met Oak, you're like, you can't be mean and nasty to him. He is the purest soul to ever walk the face of this earth. So if you're being mean to Oak is like kicking a puppy.
Right.
It's like kicking a puppy. And we know that there are evil people that kick puppies, and that was
Shamara.
So it's like you get a sense that she ain't shit to begin with, but we have no idea the depth
to what degree
of her evil, treacherous, demonic ways until deeper into the story. And so you're kind of like, there's a part into the story where she apologizes to Oak, she apologizes to Ben, she promises to be more reliable, she promises to help Ben's more because Ben's has done their grandmother a favor. She's given Shamara a job at the bakery, Nomel, which is lemon spelled backwards. And Shamara stayed being late, not showing up, not calling, rude to customers, all of that. But Ben's keeps her out of loyalty to the grandmother.
And I want to talk about this.
Yeah. No, we can. Yep.
Cut these people off.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm gonna tell y'all best I know how to tell you. People are who they show you that they are.
Yep.
Get rid of some of these people.
Yep.
And this whole like we family where?
Yeah.
When is she gonna be family to me? How come I got to be 150% family for her and she get to be 0% family to me? And so I'm showing my cards here, but HP, that's not for me. That's not my life.
Like, no, I agree with you. I get rid of these folks.
Yeah.
And I've seen conversations online where people saying, let's normalize cutting people off. Let's normalize removing people from our lives. Stop giving people
all these chances.
Let's normalize and let's move away from, oh, but we're family. And that means that you have to forgive them treating you worse than your worst enemy.
Thank you.
And it was sad that the grandmother, that it went as far as it did. And when they finally found out what happened on the night of the accident, it's at that point that the grandmother is like, and Ben's tells her, Ben's is like, she cannot live in this house with you anymore because she's staying with the grandmother because her mother put her out. And, it's just like,
and Cookie because was not Cookie. Arlene was doing a lot too. And she, like you said, she ends up at the end being like, well, you ain't got to be here.
Yeah. And there was just too much of allowing a snake that has bitten over and over and over again, because the way that she was behaving as an employee should have been enough for her to be fired. Like, at the end of the day, this is a business, right? Correct. This is a business. And it was interesting because I want to say it's the part where the grandmother comes to visit Nomel, right? And by this point, Oak has been working there for a while, and Oak actually is the one that makes her lemon supreme pie and nails the recipe, right? But even how that visit is described, it is clear that the grandmother was very particular. Like, Nomel was not going to just any relative. It went to Ben's because Ben's had earned it. Right. Nomel was the grandmother's pride and joy. She worked there until she literally physically could not do it anymore, right? And so it's with that in mind that it's kind of like knowing that your granddaughter is Flaky McFlakerson and is being unhelpful, right? And it's causing, and it wasn't clear how much Ben's was sharing with the grandmother, but it was clear that the grandmother knew that homegirl was not she was not the most responsible, right? It's like, it shouldn't have even gone as far as it did, because this is your business. This was your pride and joy. And you left it in the hands of your most competent and qualified relative, your granddaughter who learned at your feet because you knew that she would take excellent care of this business. You should not have imposed on her then giving opportunity and employment to people, family or not, that were
Right.
not going to hold it in the same esteem,
Right.
and we see that it's Oak is the one that Oak could have been a family member, right?
Yep.
The way that he treasures Nomel, the way
Mhm.
that he pours into and is learning, and the fact that he nailed the pie that
Mhm.
Benz had been practicing for years and still has not nailed, right?
Yep.
It was things like that that told you that Oak had basically, Nomel was now as much a part of Oak as it was
Mhm.
Benz, right? That was how much he treasured it. And had they, had Shamara never been in the picture, it is what it is. But that was what she always wanted, and
Yeah.
instead she was suffering through with a family member because we're family. And then when you find out just how horrible a person Shamara was, I was like,
Yeah, it
I
was a
said, go get a
lot.
truck, go get a truck,
And back it up over
go
top of
get
them.
her. Yes, go get her.
She's a hot mess.
Please and
And it
thanks.
made me, I mean, we see it a lot in books, but I think part of that is because we see it a lot in real life.
Yep.
And my issue with this as it happens is I think like you're talking about, it's not it's not in anyone's best interest to keep taking somebody's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so at some point we're gonna have to draw the line, and depending on what your faith tradition is and what you believe about whether or not love is unconditional, that can present some challenges. But I just in general struggle when people like privilege relationships over common sense.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
this instance, she had not done anything. In fact, she had done everything to make you believe that she did not give a shit.
Yeah.
And yet somehow, for some reason, I don't know if you think Jesus is gonna come back between now and Friday, but you bending over backwards to still welcome this person in your life who who does not want the best for you.
Yeah.
And so that was hard to watch. And it's so funny because sometimes, like when I'm working with people, I tell my clients, everybody is always auditioning. Nobody has the part. Like nobody in your life has the part. Everybody's always auditioning. And so if they have a couple bad performances, you put them to the side. And then if they keep on going, it could be that they just need to be cut. But it's not that I advocate that people, it's because sometimes we can overhype this, and this is why my circle's small, and that's why I don't have female friends. Then we get into weird territory. But I think in general, if you just recognize that people have to give you what you give them.
Yep. Yep.
And if you're not getting that reciprocity, that consistency, that love, that support, and those things, then it's time for us to reevaluate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Family or not.
And your point on unconditional love, it doesn't mean be a doormat.
Hell
right?
no.
You can love people from afar. You can love them and have no contact with them.
Yeah, love don't mean we got to talk.
Right. Love does not mean continuing to subject yourself to their toxicity, abuse, bullshit, whatever it is, whatever it is. I think that's a great point. So that was one of the, the enemies thing. Another preconceived notion about safety.
Yeah, buddy.
Because Pepper, for all of it, kind of tying back to what was said earlier about Birdie and Pepper and having this brand of being dangerous and, the hood and the ghetto, and even Benz's reintroduction to Pepper with dudes, on the roof with machetes. And, I forget which one. Is it Freak that scares the bejesus out of her when he bangs on the window with the gun? And she's like, oh, Lord,
and
have
then
mercy.
Put a mirror under her car. I
yes.
said, child, what
yes. Yes. But there was a true sense of community there, right? Even the store that they opened, the goods were free. Yep. Now, granted, they were laundering money, but that's not the point. The point is, from Dawn's perspective, he's like, it's just stuff. If the people in the community need it, then I want them to have it.
This is where they can get it. Yep.
This is where they can have it. Everyone felt a responsibility for the children. It was the community's children. It didn't matter if you were related to them or not. The children could play in the street. People knew how to drive like they had sense, right? Everyone felt responsible for the children. And you contrast Benz's home was just described as quite beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well appointed. She's got a gorgeous backyard. She's got plenty of land. So you're like, oh, Benz is doing well for herself, right? And yet, when she thought about where she ultimately felt the stronger sense of safety and
Mm-hmm.
community,
Mm-hmm.
it was in Pepper.
Yep.
It was what, across the street from Miss Sunny and Say Say, and with the parties and everything else. It was quote unquote in the hood. It was not in her beautiful suburban home, a result of hard work and her family getting her out of the hood, right? Because Arlene certainly behaved as if she had rescued her children from the clutches of the ghetto by getting them out of Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Arlene wasn't worth a damn, and they still didn't know who their daddies were, and they
Right.
came from two different daddies. Like, it was like, girl, stop. You took the ghetto with you when you left, right? Like, you took it with you. You did not leave it behind. And then also the fact that Pepper, unlike Birdie and I think Grace as well, they owned their homes, right? When they got
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity to purchase them, these ghetto hood people, right? I mean, and I'm putting that in air quotes and I'm being facetious, right? Like, they understood the value in owning their property. And
Mm-hmm.
I think whichever, if it's Birdie or Grace that had a similar opportunity and took some money, and now, the impression was that that development was less attractive, less safe. They basically
Yeah.
got right.
Yeah.
They didn't play the long game, whereas the folks in Pepper had an understanding that owning the property was important, and they outsmarted the developers, so to speak. So I just liked, kind of turning the idea of safety and what that looks like on its head, right?
Yep.
And then adulthood was the other thing that I thought, preconceived notions, because as I mentioned at the very beginning, right, Dawn and Benz are young,
Yeah.
early
Babies.
20s.
Babies.
Yes, early 20s.
Yep.
And yet both were conducting themselves as full-fledged, full-grown, responsible, empathetic, kind, self-aware adults,
Mm-hmm.
while the other adults in their lives had the luxury of feeling however they felt,
Right. And
and
doing whatever they want to do.
doing whatever they wanted to do, obligations and responsibilities notwithstanding. And I don't want to be too hard on Miss Sunny, because Miss Sunny was certainly she was more present than Arlene. Again, right? That contrast of Sunny stayed in the ghetto and this, that, and the third, and Arlene thought she was so much better. But it was like, girl, please go.
Yeah.
I enjoyed her being bitter over the fact that, like, oh, you're going to be right across the street from Sunny, so Sunny gets to be, the grandmother that has all the
Mm-hmm.
access. Well, yeah, because Sunny doesn't put in the work. Sunny has invested the time and the energy and the support.
Right.
So Sunny's going to enjoy the fruit of that investment. That's how it goes. And so those things kind of stood out to me when I was like, whatever your idea was, or what the idea of these things has been presented to be, right, in society. I
Mm-hmm.
thought Nina did a nice job of challenging that and be like, well, not so fast, not so fast, not so fast,
Yeah. What did you think of them going after Ellis?
Oh, I was here for it. I wanted my gun. I was like, where's my gun? I want to ride shotgun. I want to fire the shots. It just, like, I got it, right? And I liked how she presented, Sunny. And I think that was an excerpt that you sent me, right? That you were like that. How did you describe it? Sunny kind of praying to God, understands and
Yes.
forgets.
Yes, honey.
She needed her retribution, and I was like, yeah, I agree.
Yes. So the boys is getting ready to go out. They know where he at. They're going to get him. And she prays, or it's some kind of conversation where she's asking God to protect them as they go and murder somebody else.
Yep.
And I was like, Sunny, explain this to me. Tell me what this prayer is.
She was like, Heavenly Father, you're going to have to you understand what is happening. I got it. I certainly got it. Because it was just, it would have still been tragic because Nina put you there in the car, right? And you're there when Travis dies. But they weren't bothering anyone.
They weren't.
This
They
was
weren't.
completely unprovoked. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were minding their business, celebrating his new chapter in fatherhood. That's all
Mm-hmm.
they were doing.
And but you know what? I don't think you know as the reader at the time if they are into the bullshit.
Correct.
And so it's
Correct.
easy to read it and think black males, urban romance, they
Yeah.
must be into the bullshit. They earned this.
Yeah.
And so if that was your perception and you figure, charge it to the game, everybody hurting, whatever, and then you find out that no, this
Yes.
had nothing to
Yes.
do with anything
Yes.
other than Shamara Ellis and them and their bullshit.
Yes.
It was like it was double. I fell apart all over again.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because I'm mindful since I've read it more than once, but you're absolutely right. Because the first read, I was kind of like, huh, okay. Because then you learn that
Mm-hmm.
they were doing stuff. And
Yep.
it's after Travis gets killed that their mother puts her foot down and she's like, mother and father, right? Put their foot down and say, okay, it's time to make a graceful exit. Let's fund some businesses. Dawn opens his store in Pepper. They start funding the cousins' hair
Mm-hmm.
salon, right? So on and so forth. So you're like, all right, well, so they were in maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you find out that had nothing to do with it at all, you're like,
Yes.
motherfucker.
Yes.
Yeah,
That made it so much more painful to me
so much more painful.
because we do tend to write off the loss of life if you are into some dangerous shit.
Yeah,
It's like, well, what did you expect? Right.
yeah, yeah,
And that's just how it goes. And so everybody put on their t-shirt with the person facing the wings,
yep, yep,
and we move on
yep.
as best we can. Not that this doesn't hurt, of course it does, but I think as a reader, it's the same like when we were talking to Nia Forster. She was saying when you write a character who is so plainly one-dimensional
Mm-hmm.
that they become forgettable.
Yeah,
And so you
yeah,
don't have to have any feelings about them. You don't have to be concerned about them because you know that they're being propped up to be the heavy.
yeah,
But in this situation, it just added so much dimension that no, like this
yeah,
had nothing to do with it. He was genuinely happy to see this girl. He fake flirting with her. He ain't finna fuck this girl. He
exactly,
drunk. He tipsy.
exactly.
He having
Right.
a good night. He hug her. He going home to his baby mama and his new baby. That's what
Yes,
he want to do.
yes,
He
yep,
FaceTiming him in the car. He can't even
yep,
wait till he get to the crib.
yep,
And here this bitch come. And I said, you know what? Like,
yeah,
so it made it so much worse. And the pain, which is why I think it was also so painful for them, because it
yes,
was like we can't even figure out why this
yes,
happened.
yes,
We was not
yes,
bothering nobody.
right,
And to
right,
know that it was Shamara Lyon and sending a picture, and then you find out that she had done other things, that like telling him where she goes. Benz is trying to figure out, how does he always know where I am? How does he always
yeah,
get my number? How does he
yeah,
always? And it was her the whole time,
the
which
whole
really made me
time.
think about like the nature of their relationship. Like, what the fuck? Why are you always talking to me about Benz, Ellis?
Yeah,
Why don't
yeah,
you be concerned about me? And so for Shamara to be needy enough and to have enough gaps in her persona to stay with a person that requires that of you, I was like, everybody said, this is just awful.
and it also just kind of speaks to, it's like, because after what happened, I don't like, I don't have that in me to begin with, but it's like, your cousin is dead.
Yep.
Not she broke her leg and
Yep.
she's dead.
And you knew that the whole time, all year. And you been rude this whole, I'm getting upset.
Yeah, like it was like, wow, like bitch, that's what I'm saying. Truck, do what you got to do, bro. Go on, take a ride up to Connecticut. I co-sign
Yeah, how do
that.
you have a stank attitude and you killed my cousin indirectly? And you be late to work? You're gonna sleep in this shop.
Like I don't even, it made sense to me that the friend, remember Arlie's friend was like, I couldn't
Chrissy, I think.
handle it. I had to just move away.
Yeah.
I was like, that makes sense. Why Shamar asked him to move away? Because I would not have been able to look Ben's in the face or
No.
other family members in the face,
Not at all.
knowing that, we were arguing about some fuck shit that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lost control of the car and she ended up dying and leaving
Mm-hmm.
behind a little girl. And not only am I going to continue to be around, but then I'm going to go continue fucking the baby daddy. And then I get, girl,
Child.
truck, do what you got to do, bro.
It
Go on,
just
take
was
that
a
ride up to Connecticut.
mess. And I was like, this is, and it just continued to twist and twist and twist and twist.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What did you think about her? And then she didn't wait long, but the cryptic pregnancy and then like how she processes that and lets him know.
It was such a like, oh, okay. And I didn't even know how to, because I was like, well, yeah, I guess if you had no idea, not that you found out you were pregnant, but it's like, surprise, you're pregnant because the baby's here. Like that's some shit, right? And trying to, like, it's like, just get your mind around that. Right. That like the way you find out you're pregnant is you give birth. Like, you have heard of women who they find out and they're several months in and it's like, what? But like, so you're not in any way, shape or form. Right. Mentally, emotionally, physically.
House like, ain't ready, ain't nothing ready.
Exactly. House ain't ready, nothing.
Yeah.
And you already have this little human being that you're responsible for, this 6-year-old, right? And let's not forget the 3 dogs. At some point, we got to give attention to the 3 dogs because they were a hoot.
Yes. Especially when the dogs meet each other for the first time.
Oh yes. But it was very like, I gave Ben's grace, but I liked that Oak, right, and Lottie were not letting it slide. Right. And Oak was coming at it from the, I feel bad and this is stressing me out because I'm not used to lying. And Lottie was like, bitch, he has a whole baby. Like, you can't do this. Like, you have to tell him. Like, you can't quickly. Like, he needs to know. Right. Yeah. And of course, the way she did it, again, I'm gonna give Ben some grace because I was like, girl, this is not the way we do this. We don't bring him up to the maternity, the neonatal floor. Surprise. He was like, why the fuck are we on this floor? Why are we coming here? And I had to remind myself that for all of their maturity, we're still talking about a 23-year-old. Right, who had gotten the shock of her life because clearly she wouldn't have been whooping ass. Right. She had known she was pregnant. So it was, and the fact that was what brings them back together, because I did wonder. I don't think Dawn would have stayed away forever. But it's several months, right? Yeah. When he says, I need space. And I got that, right? I got that. And I could have even understood if he'd have been like, I just can't get past him. I'm not going to be able to heal and be with you. It's got to be one or the other. Yes.
That was another reason why it took me so long to be in love with them being in love. Yeah. Because I didn't know if we were going to get a happily ever after. And so once it started coming out, layer and layer upon layer, I was like, well, I don't know how you would, because so my uncle passed 6 years ago on August 5th. The only person in my life to never disappoint me. And that is a high bar because I have some real quality folks in my life. But he never, not one time, disappointed me. And the timing from us finding out that he had cancer to him going was like 9 months. And we were like, hey, what is going on? And if somebody told me in the intervening years that we've all been kind of reeling and, because him and my aunt met when they were 13 and they did not break up until he died. Oh. And so if somebody was to come back around and tell us, actually, it was the wrong medication. And hey, I'm setting fires. Right? And the tech or the nurse or the doctor who did it is your cousin. Yeah. And they knew this whole time, but they just ain't say nothing. I'll bet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like the wound was
Ain't no
still,
forgiveness to be had.
yeah, no, the wound was still bleeding, and then you poured salt and lemon juice, and like you said, you
Yes.
twisted the knife. I don't.
And so I, like you were saying before, there was no part of me that was confused about why they needed space.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you got to be able to reconcile, like how I because you want me to wake up to you. That's what you're
yeah,
asking me. You're asking me
yeah,
to wake up to you.
yeah,
You're asking me to on the anniversary of both of their deaths.
yeah,
What are we supposed to do next year now that we had this
yeah,
information?
yeah,
Girl, I was like, ooh, child.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
that's why
you,
I really did not know if she was gonna give us a happily ever after, because that's a lot.
you know, it's a great point. And what I can't help but wonder as you say this, like I said, I didn't think that Dawn would stay away forever, but but for little baby Dawn, um, it would have been, I think, a lot longer. And baby Dawn brought this joy and this, right, just as I think not only babies can do, but certainly babies
That's a
are
good
one of those
point.
types of
Yeah.
life events that bring that,
Yep.
because now they had something to just fully celebrate. Like
Yeah.
Tyler, they celebrated, and yet it was bittersweet,
Yep.
right? Because Tyler was only what, a week old when
Mm-hmm.
Travis is killed, and so exactly, even his first birthday is like bittersweet
Yes.
because Dawn is cognizant of the fact that like Travis is not here to see his
Yes.
son celebrate his first
Yes.
birthday. Whereas with
Yes.
Dawn, it was clear, the gratitude that Dawn was alive, that even being born premature, that Dawn fought through it and got to the
Yep.
point where she was able to be discharged from the neonatal unit, and they were able to bring her home, and everybody's so excited. So it was just joy,
Yep.
right? With Dawn, it wasn't the bittersweet that unfortunately became attached to Tyler,
Mm-hmm.
because of what happened to Travis.
Yep. Yep.
We didn't get Arlene, like we got Arlene's
Mm-hmm.
story, we got pieces of Arlene's story
Mm-hmm.
from other people, because
Mm-hmm.
Arlene was still deep in, I made new.
Yep.
Old Arlene doesn't exist, but you find out that Arlene might have set up Ben's father to go to jail, and it's
Yes.
kind of like, oh, okay, and was sleeping with another woman's man, and
There was a reason she had to run.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But it's about choices,
Yep.
right? It is about choices, and things that happen, and what we do about the things that happen, some of which those things have been initiated by our own decisions, and in some instances where we are having to react, respond to the decisions made by others.
Mm-hmm.
um and yeah, Ben's was just so, what I appreciated about Ben's was that Ben's was very relatable in that her pain was potent,
Yeah.
right? It both of them, but Ben's, because she was openly processing it, whereas Dawn was suppressing it, we were seeing it more with her.
Mm-hmm.
But Ben's was not put on the happy face all the time, everything
Right.
is awesome in the name of getting through. And going back to the shout out to the therapy, I appreciated Dr. Apple Pie, who I will tell you is a beloved figure in the Nina verse, because
Okay.
Dr. Apple Pie is the therapist for the Porters.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so Nina fans love Apple Pie, Dr. Apple Pie. And on Nina is really only active social media wise on Tumblr.
Okay.
And she posts what she calls pie sessions.
Okay.
And so they are ongoing therapy sessions with different members of the Porter family. And her gif for the pie sessions is someone pouring hot apples into a pie crust. And now I want apple pie. Focus, Adrian, focus. Sorry. But just, Dr. Pie, saying to Ben's like, basically like, what is the worst thing about you crying? Like, what's wrong with
Yeah.
you crying when you think of your sister? Well, I don't want to be sad in front of her. And she's like, but you are sad. And she's sad, right? This has been a sad event. This is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, this is not, you're not making this up. And you should be okay with expressing that sadness rather than feeling as if you have to be pillar of strength, show no emotion, because that's what you're teaching your niece, right? And that's the example that she is going to follow, and also feel like she has to suppress her grief.
Yeah.
um and I just think about the strong black woman trope, right?
Mm-hmm.
And certainly the women on my mother's side of the family, the only time I saw my mother cry was when we were in church, like when she
Mm.
was, caught up in praise and worship. I
Mm-hmm.
never saw her cry at funerals. Her mother, her youngest brother, like never.
Mm.
um and I that's not me completely, but I certainly recognize I have
Mm.
quite a bit of that in me. And I had not considered it in the perspective of, what is that showing to younger family members, right?
Yeah.
Will my son grow up thinking that we don't cry because we just kind of take it on the chin and keep going? Um, so I appreciated that Ben's was not like, unlike Dawn, who maybe you couldn't relate to getting high, right,
Mm-hmm.
as your coping mechanism. Although marijuana is legal in more states than it's ever been.
Listen,
So if you
don't
could
ask
not
me no questions.
exactly right, so if you could not relate to how he was coping, right? Because I think written that like Dawn smokes a blunt for breakfast, like that's
Right.
his sustenance, right?
Yep.
You're
Yep.
kind of like, maybe he eats, but he definitely makes sure that he communes with the
For
trees
sure. For
on a
sure.
daily basis, right? But Ben's wasn't doing that, and although we do find out like Ben's relationship with food has
Mm-hmm.
changed dramatically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it has manifested itself differently, but the way that she was trying to work through it resonated with me very strongly, because I saw a lot of that in myself, in terms of, like I said, working was a coping mechanism. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, this I can control, right? I can
Yeah.
control, go to work, do my job, get my paycheck, come home. It's all
And
this other shit that I can't
yeah.
control.
And you know why? Because it's mechanical.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you
Yep,
can check the box, when
yep,
you can call it done, when you
yep.
can all of the messy, unkept, the things that refuse to be tidied, when you find a thing that just allow you to kind of get into that rote repetition of it, it
Yeah,
is a saving grace. That is for
yeah,
sure. Because if you
yeah.
have to spend all day trying to sort through the grief, somebody going out of here. I don't know if it's you or
Right,
me.
right.
One of us ain't gonna make it till 5 o'clock. But to
Yeah,
your question, to your point about the babies, I wonder what if we were to fast forward, what are they going to tell these children
yeah, yeah.
about, Tyler and his dad and what's the little girl name?
Busy.
Busy, thank you. Busy and her mom, and to
Yeah,
tell baby Dawn, how did you meet?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
ooh,
Well, the only thing that comes close to that is at one point, right? Dawn is, because obviously Tyler calls Dawn Dada,
mm-hmm.
Daddy, right? And it just is what it is. And Dawn
Yeah,
is like, when he is old enough,
yep,
we will explain to him
yep,
who
yep.
his father was and why he calls me Daddy. But for now, yeah, I'm Daddy. Right. I'm
Mm-hmm.
Daddy. And that's just how it's going to be. So, with Busy, right? Busy at least had memories of her mother. She knew, she had her mother and she had her father, and now she has neither.
Yeah, yeah.
And the grandmother coming out the woodwork. I was just like, Nina, girl, this is too much. You done rung me out.
No, she is a terrible person.
You
That is
done
for
rung me
sure.
out.
Very clear about that.
Now we got this additional palace intrigue coming in with the Birdie folks and the grandmama who you made the vegan
Uh-huh.
cupcakes for. I just can't. It's too much.
It's too much. It's too much. I also like the little touch where she was talking about making something. Somebody asked her to make something vegan, and she was clear about it was something she was saying she wasn't going to use or was going to use.
It's the wax. It's the wax. It was something about the
Yes.
wax. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And as a non-vegan, because I eat everything, you got to die something. And I was like, wait a minute, let me look it up because I ain't never heard that. That was just a really interesting touch. I don't know if she is vegan or knows like other vegans or if she just did the research herself. But I remember being like, the wax is what?
It was a nice touch. It showed
Yes.
a level, like you said, either she's vegan or that she had chosen to do that extra little bit of research.
Because that would have never
Um,
occurred to me. I was like, and the
yeah.
wax is where? What's the problem with
Yes.
it? So, is it bacon on the wax? What are we talking about?
But can we just eat it? Okay, as long as we can eat it.
Just
I
eat
don't.
it and close your eyes up. If you close your eyes, everything is vegan. Just don't worry about it. That's what
You
I
get
do.
a vegan, you get a vegan, everybody
Right.
gets a
As
vegan.
long as you can't see it, it's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I loved it, although it had me my mouth watering um for lemon desserts. And
Mm.
as an aside, if for our listeners, if wherever you are, Dunkin' Donuts is selling their lemon pound cake, I can attest that it is in fact the real deal. It is lemon pound cake and lemon frosting.
Mm.
It is delicious. Back to the regularly scheduled programming. But like Dawn saying, make me some exclusive stuff, right? Like he was a savvy business person, right? Dawn was just an all around good guy and savvy business person, because he was like, I want something that you're not already selling here. And then them going through the taste test and him trying the different things, right? And they have a little incident where he eats all of Oak's desserts and Oak
Yes.
tells on him again.
I'm gonna tell
Because
you, Oak is a snitch.
Oak, listen,
he
Oak,
a tattletale.
Oak was in the pursuit of justice. Oak ain't snitch on nobody who ain't deserved to be snitched on. Oak was constantly in the pursuit of justice. Dawn should not have eaten his shit.
He shouldn't have.
And Truck should not have been impersonating him.
He should not have.
Dawn shouldn't have been late in picking him up. The nigga be where you said you gonna be at the time you supposed to be there.
It's true.
Listen,
it's true.
But it was even just those exchanges, right? Because they could have just been shooting the shit, right? Like they could have just been connecting on nonsense, but like there was so much richness to these two people coming together, right? As two business owners, as two grieving siblings, as guardian parents, as leaders in their families. Like they just had so many commonalities, right? And it makes me think of Finding Us actually crossed my mind, right? Because your whole, people who are in a support group should not be falling in love with other people in the support group. And yet, right, that is a point of that commonality can be so powerful, right? And that is a place where there's this shared vulnerability. It's very easy to see how that can happen, right? How two people meet in AA and fall for one another because they're struggling through the same thing. Now you also see where the seeds of that demise are inherently within the situation as well because of the circumstances, but you see how that brings people together.
Yep.
But it's like at 21 and 23, they wouldn't have been at somebody's support group, right? Correct. They would have been muddling through. They would have been engaging in unhealthy behaviors, trying to cope. And so in light of what had happened and how deeply they were both still grieving, they were both doing pretty damn well, all things considered, and would have continued that way with that huge hole on the inside that no one could quite help fill until they intersected with each other.
Yes. I agree. I agree. No, she's a terrible person. I keep saying it, but I want to make sure we get it on the record because
why you do that, Nina?
She's awful.
Why?
Let me see. What haven't we talked about? What did you think about Addie, about Shamar's mother coming at the end?
Let me tell you something.
That is weird.
Let me tell you something. But was it weird, or was it in the same vein of people pushing that like toxic mindset? Because why didn't she know?
Yep.
Why didn't her mother or her sister tell her,
Yep.
bitch, your daughter's the devil? Because she came down there, she came to Nomel bursting with
Talking big
righteous
shit.
indignation
Mm-hmm.
because she did not know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's like, why are we trying to save her feelings?
Yep.
We're all devastated. She need to be devastated too.
Mm-hmm.
Why she don't know? So that's where my mind went. I was like, why didn't I listen? I was all for the entire case of whoop ass
She sure
that
did.
Ben's opened on her. I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
justly deserved. But I was just like, why doesn't she know what happened? Because what she says something along the lines of, I know that you all had a disagreement. Like she clearly did not know the full circumstances. She did
Right.
not know. And that
Yeah.
bothered me because I was like, why didn't her mother tell her? Why didn't her sister? Because the way that Arlene came with all the smoke for Sonny, when she thought that it was, some of the shenanigans that maybe Travis and Dawn were involved in, and Arlie was collateral damage of that. Oh, she drove to Pepper, wanted to fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why you didn't have that energy for your sister? Because your sister needed the ass whooping of life, right? Like,
Right.
why didn't she know? And I was left with that question more than anything because I was just like, well, Ben's handled it, right? Like Ben's handled it. But I was like, why is Shamara's mother still living in like blissful ignorance? Because if she had known, there's no way she would have come in there like that, behaving that way, if she had known the truth about what her daughter had done. Now, I'm not saying she would have crucified her daughter. Maybe she would have, maybe she wouldn't have. I mean, what we get told is that she put her daughter out for a man. So Shamara's stupid ass might have been homeless, which would have been justly deserved. But she clearly didn't know what had happened, and I didn't understand why nobody told her.
I was split on that. It to me, because I didn't get the impression that Arlene, Addie, and Sonny was talking all the time. Were they?
Arlene and
I'm sorry,
Addie.
Addie, Arlene, and Sonny. Yeah.
Well, Sonny wasn't talking to none of them.
Right. And then
Right.
not Arlene, not Arlene.
Oh, the grandmother. Yeah, no, I understand that, but this was not that's not I call you to chit chat on a Sunday afternoon conversation anyway.
Be quiet. What I'm saying is, like, I feel like, sometimes you can find out something in the family and everybody shuts down.
Yeah.
And maybe they were still processing it, and they just hadn't picked up the phone yet. But I kind of got the impression that they didn't talk to her, and so they weren't going to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, girl." It was just like, well, we already don't talk to her. So, if she stay out there, maybe her daughter tell her, I don't know. So what I meant to say was Addie, Arlene, and Cookie, not Addie, Arlene, and Sonny. But that if she was not in the loop, she wasn't going to be in the loop, because I don't want to talk to you, and certainly not about this.
That's fair. I guess I would buy that had Arlene not did what she did when she thought. True. Because I'm like, keep that same energy, right? Like the snake was in the house.
Yeah.
Right. And so the same way you hopped in the car and peeled rubber to go to Pepper and confront Sonny and cuss her and call her and her children everything but a child of God, please keep that energy for your sister, because that should have been an in-person, you raised a demon and you need to know. I mean, because if y'all enemies anyway, or you two sisters, you don't get along anyway, that to me, that's all the more reason to be like, and your daughter ain't shit, and you ain't shit, and this is further evidence. And both of y'all are dead to me.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, so it was true. And maybe that's what made it easier, is that because of course we only confront when we know we're safe.
Yeah.
Or when we really care. And so maybe she ain't give a shit about her sister. I don't know. But you're right. If Arlene, if you got time, have time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I understood why, even with, Arlene's apology, Sonny was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Because too much had been said at that point, like too much, right? And then to find out that you were so wrong. You were so
completely wrong.
So horribly, horrifically wrong. Like you couldn't have been more wrong.
Right.
You talked cash shit
She did. She
and said
did.
things there was no coming back from, right? So I understood Sonny being like, yeah, no, I'm good.
For sure.
You
No.
still dead to me. You still unwelcome in Pepper. Like she would not get past the gates.
Right. No, you're right.
Freak would pull the trigger.
He would. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything we haven't touched?
Think so. I mean, it's so many wonderful little touches, but I think it's clear how I feel about this story. Such
It
a great
is.
story.
It grew on me, the sweetness of it, but I think
Yes.
in it, I was like, this is awful.
Yes.
Like, because everybody is sad and I want them to be happy. And
Yes.
I'm finding more and more and more that I do like the light and fluffy.
I get it. I get it.
Not all the time, but I think we've had a string here of late. Of some more serious tones, and I'm think I'm gonna dip back into something from somebody, I don't know where, but some kind of light and fluffy reread that'll make me
Well,
feel
feel
gooey.
free to pull your weight in this relationship
No. What?
and suggest something light and fluffy.
Hell
Okay.
no. Why would I do that?
Because, I mean, really.
First of all, I did, but it was really not worthy of the podcast. There wasn't a lot to talk about, which is the problem with light and fluffy. It's cute, but when
Yes.
you try to have a conversation about it, it don't get you far.
No, that's right. That I think that's exactly right. Like it's because you're right. There are things that we've read where we're like, we both hard eyes and swoon, but that's a 15-minute conversation. It is these kinds of stories. I mean, this was sadder than the others, but it's the ones that have like the drama on steroids and some toxicity and family dysfunction and whatnot that actually provide the rich discussion. Candidly, people just behaving badly and or making stupid decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
Before I forget, though, going back to your storyline that you're never going to make into an actual book, so I don't even know why you told us, because you just felt like teasing us. But
no,
I
just
have
finish the
read.
story in your mind. Go ahead.
You made me remember because I've read, and I think it's a Be-Love story, where the woman finds out the man, because she meets him in jail. It's like a pen pal program. It is a Be-Love story, and I'm blanking on the name of it. But it's got a gorgeous cover. I remember that. It's a very sexy Black couple on the cover. And she meets the hero while he is serving time, and he is very well connected. So he's sending her gifts from prison, right? She's getting spa treatments and so on and so forth. Come to find out, she was kidnapped, and the people who raised her as her mother and father were not biologically related to her at all. The man had an affair with her biological mother, if I'm not mistaken, while the biological mother was on a break from the biological father. And when she went back to her husband, the side piece was spurned, and I don't remember how he got custody, how he snatched the daughter. He kidnaps her and they move out of state or something, or to another city, and change their names and everything. And the woman that he was also seeing at the time goes along with it, and she pretends to be this girl's mother. But they never had a good relationship. And so fast forward to when this girl becomes an adult, that's when she finds out that they were not her biological parents. Her biological parents are very well connected, kingpin affiliated individuals in a different city. And the man that she falls in love with in prison, he killed the man who raised her as her father. Once her parents found her and found out where they were, her father sent this dude to kill the fake father. And he has to come clean to her that has happened after they've fallen in love. And so there's a certain amount of angst of, will she be okay with that? Because, this was the only father that she knew. And even though she had conflicting feelings about what had happened and whatnot, would she be okay with the fact that the man she was in love with murdered the man she knew as her father?
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I'm glad I didn't write it. Y'all can read this. Let's find out the name of this book.
Yes,
See?
yes.
See, when I tell people I don't have to do it no more, it's so many people that's already doing it. We're gonna find
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds fascinating. I don't think I've ever read anything by B Love, not one time.
Yeah, I enjoy her stuff. I don't read it regularly, but I've enjoyed her stuff. And this is a newer one. Let me see, because I'm on Amazon now, just so that it's Love Letters from Memphis is the name of it.
Okay, let's get
book
into
one
it.
of 3 of the Ode to Memphis series.
Oh, it is a beautiful cover.
Isn't
Oh
it a
my
beautiful
goodness.
cover?
Yes.
The couple is sexy and beautiful,
And the
then
little
that
purpley
purple,
hue.
yeah, that purple hue just, yes, I love it.
Yeah, that is awesome. Come on,
Yeah,
cover.
that cover art is beautiful. So there you go. We have extolled the virtues of lemon pepper, and we have offered
Yeah, something else for y'all to read. I ain't finna read because
yes.
it sounds sad, and I'm finna read something over that I already know the answer to. But oh, she don't do. Maybe she does her own covers because I'm looking for the little cover art attribution, but not everybody do it. You don't have to.
And you know, B Love, right, is writer, but also publisher.
Yeah,
You
she
know,
got all the people to
several
do all the stuff.
authors, and whatnot. So, but yeah, but coming back to lemon pepper, I've looked at my notes, and that's, as HP knows from our off camera discussion, I was talking about all the things I had to get done today coming back from vacation. But I was
Yes.
like, I got to get my notes for lemon pepper down, so I'm ready. That was more important to me than my actual work obligation.
You sound like
Thankfully,
me.
I earned my paycheck. My obligations and responsibilities were fulfilled. So all
Yeah,
is well.
please, because you ain't finna have your husband asking me why you ain't got a job no more because you fooling around.
Right. We hate for HR to come and be like, Adrian,
Right.
you need to talk.
Go ahead and clock out for me.
with corporate security in my box.
Exactly. I'm like, oh no.
No, we shut
I
your
wish
access
somebody
off.
would walk up to me like that. I want you to know the kind of scene I would perform.
But see, that is why they have corporate
It
security,
is.
because
Don't
of
do
people
that.
like you.
Ask me to come to you. Don't come to me in front of everybody.
No.
But you know where I work, they put a meeting on your calendar at about 4:00.
Interesting.
And then they clear out the floor. And so when the meeting starts, the whole floor is full of cubes. And by the time the meeting is over, you come out and ain't nobody there but you.
Wow.
That's how they do it. That's how they do it. I said,
Wow.
oh, we.
Wow.
Yeah, you come out and they have sent everybody else either home or to another area of the building, and you go out and they escort you literally in the elevator to your car. They watch you get in your car.
Same. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure we follow a very,
Because they
you know,
do not let people double back.
Yeah, and the reality is, right, that's founded in
absolutely
in real events, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, before going postal became,
Yep.
People almost talk about it in a joking manner, but like those of us who are old enough to remember that that's because there were several incidents
Correct.
involving postal workers, you know, coming to their sites and firing and people losing their lives. And so, you know, on the one hand, we can have feelings about, you know, corporate and companies and how people do things and organizations do things. And yet that is something that unfortunately is rooted in like real legitimate concern.
For sure.
Because you don't know.
You do
some
not.
There's some people who you look at and you're like, you'd probably flip out. And then there are others that you would never guess.
Yep.
That you learn that day.
Correct.
Say, I didn't know Sally had it in her. Well,
correct. You're absolutely right.
And now everybody knows. But okay, I am done with our love letter to lemon pepper.
Yeah.
I know that our BSB folks, I think it was a combination. It was Indie Love and our Bourbon Street friends actually talked to Nina about the book.
Okay.
So for those who are interested, go, and because Nina does not do a lot of interviews, so that was a special circumstance. And I know Ayana was thrilled because she wasn't sure if Nina would agree to it, but she did. And I caught some of it. I didn't catch it all, but it is available on demand if folks are interested. If you want to check that out, the mind and the face behind this. It's beautiful.
It is cute. I'm gonna have to go back to my little favorite scene. Wait, let me find it.
Oh, God.
Because it's when Sonny say, y'all filling the room with nut juice. What she said?
She's mad because she done decorated the room all pretty, and
And
they having
they're having
sex.
sex. Get out of here.
And it was the first time since before they had broken up.
Right.
So, oh God, that's what I forgot. Okay, the last thing, the dogs.
The dogs, child.
So,
dogs.
The fact that the dogs had, you've seen the the black people, why do black people give their dogs like real names?
Yes.
So Kwame Jermaine.
Yeah.
It's just like, Kwame Jermaine, you say. Kwame Jermaine. And when she would yell first and middle like he was an actual child,
right,
being reprimanded. And the first time that Dawn meets him and is like, what? Because he didn't think that she would have two very, very large dogs, and then I forget what the little one's name is, with his little Napoleon complex. But one scene that cracks me up, no matter how many times I've read it, is, coming to almost like the final scenes where they move into the house together. They're in Pepper, and they bring Dawn home, and they've got, like you were saying, they've got all 4 dogs together, and it's not going well because Kiki, who's Dawn's, what was it? Because they had 2 of the same dog.
Oh,
they
yeah.
Right. They have 2 of the same dog, and then Kwame is a different dog, and then the little one is a different dog.
Yes.
But Kiki is Dawn's dog, and she is not pleased to have these 3 males in her space, and they are not pleased either. So like Ben's, calls Dawn downstairs, and they're, figuring out the logistics of what they're going to do and how they're going to blend the dog families together.
Right.
But at a certain point, Ben says something to Dawn about, you cut it out, and Kwame, barks in agreement with Ben's, and Dawn turns to him and says, keep it up, big nigga, you gonna be at the pound. You're not gonna punk me, little nigga.
He certainly tried.
He certainly tried. Kwame Jermaine. Because I was like, middle name and all.
Kwame yeah. So that was cute. I liked when the dogs, everybody got together and they was like, okay, now how are we gonna handle this? And then the one dog was looking them up and down and then walked away slow. I said, Lord.
Sizing them up. That was Kwame. That was Kwame. Because Dawn and Kwame were the ones that had the issues. He didn't have an issue with the other 2 dogs, but Kwame was the biggest one. And he was basically like, I don't know who you are,
right?
But I am the current king of this castle. And Dawn was like, oh, no, I am the king of this castle.
Kwame said, state your business.
Yes.
What are you here for, and when are you leaving?
Exactly. So that was another cute parallel that they both had, big dogs.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't just because Busy and Tyler meshed with no problem.
Right.
And everybody's happy for Dawn to come. So the human blending of the families was perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was the animal blending that was going to prove to be
we had to spend some
a little
time
bit more
figuring
touchy.
Out for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was my last tidbit. And now I can go and luxuriate in my memories of lemon pepper.
Memories of lemon pepper. All right, ma'am. Well, until next time, we need to figure out what we're going to read and do. Indeed. And everything. We'll come up with something.
Get yourself together, lady.
All right.
Get yourself together.
Have a good evening. Bye.